Hi there, I'm Jacob Corley, and I'll be taking you through a 15-minute upper body mobility series. We're going to start by mobilizing the wrists. So I'm going to have you bring your palms up towards the ceiling, and you're going to make a closed fist. You'll squeeze a little bit of tension into your hands, and then very slowly, you're going to start to bring your wrists up into flexion, as if you were trying to flex the muscles on the underside of the wrist. And very slowly, we'll start to rotate the hands in, trying to make a circle with the wrists, without allowing the forearms to help at all. As we bring the wrists all the way back up and around, we're trying to make as big of a circle as we can without allowing the forearms to dump down. The palms should stay up towards the ceiling at all times as we're moving through this range of motion. Bringing the wrist all the way up, bringing the pinky down to the middle, drawing that circle with just the wrist, and then we'll change directions. We'll bring the pinkies towards the middle, bringing the wrist all the way up into flexion, pushing the thumb out to the side without allowing the forearm to move at all. Bringing the wrist down, making a nice big circle. Bringing the wrist all the way back up. Thumb goes out to the outside. Wrist comes all the way down. We'll go for one more lap here as we bring the wrist all the way up into flexion. Pushing the thumb out to the side as we reach the wrist down into extension, and then we can relax. We'll continue to work with the wrists here by placing the hands down onto the ground. We're going to stack our shoulders over our elbows and our elbows over our wrists. We're going to start by leaning the hips back towards the heels, and then we'll start to push the palms into the ground. The motion would be pushing the hand into flexion, but the ground is there to block you. As you push the earth away from you, very slowly you're going to start to reach your body weight forward, bringing yourself into extension. As your body weight goes forward, you're continuing to push the hands down into the wrist, and then you'll reset. Sending the hips down towards the heels, and then we'll start to send the body weight forward again as we're pushing the hands into the ground. As we're pushing the hands into the ground, we want to think about keeping the elbows stacked up over the wrists and the shoulders stacked up over the elbows. When you can no longer go any further, you'll reset back into that starting position. We're going to go for 2 more reps here. Take a nice big deep breath in, pushing the palm into the earth as we start to send our body weight forward. As we send the body weight going forward, we're trying to push the hands into the ground as much as we can until we can no longer go any further. Sending the hips back towards the heels, and we'll go for 1 more rep here. Big deep breath, push the palms into the earth, start to send the body weight going forward. Continue to push your hands into the earth as you send your body weight going forward until you can no longer go any further. Then you can send your body weight going backwards, and you can relax. We're going to move right into the shoulders. So we're going to send ourselves back into a collapsed quadruped position. If you can't get this deep into this position, you can start by placing a pillow or a towel in between the knees to reduce the amount of stress on the kneecaps here. If you can get all the way into this position, this would be ideal. We're going to start with just the right arm, and we'll reach the right arm out in front of us. Chest is down towards the earth, and then very slowly we're going to lift the right arm off the ground. When you can no longer go any further, you're going to pretend that you have a cup of water in this right hand, and very slowly you're going to start to pour that water out as you reach the arm back and around. As you're reaching the arm back and around, you're trying to maintain tension throughout the belly and trying to minimize any movement throughout the rib cage. As the back of the hand comes around by the hip, you're going to freeze, and then you'll rewind by reaching the wrist up towards the ceiling, keeping that tension in the hand, rotating the arm all the way back and around, thinking about moving 1 mile per hour. As we reach the arm all the way back and around, bicep comes down by the ear, and then we parachute the arm back down towards the ground. And we'll rewind. Lift the arm straight up towards the ceiling, keeping that bicep close to the ear. If we had a cup of water in this hand, we'll think about dumping that water out as we reach the arm all the way back and around. Making the circle as large as we can without allowing the rib cage to move at all. Back of the hand comes by the hip, and then we'll rewind. As the arm goes up towards the ceiling, we're trying to find as much range of motion as we can, keeping the arm tucked in by the body, and then rotating that palm all the way back and around, trying to keep that arm as far away from the ground as we can. Parking ourselves down. And one more rep, lifting that arm off, keeping that bicep close to the ear, rotating the wrist all the way back and around, thinking about moving from the shoulder, not the rib cage. Back of the hand parks by the hip, and then we rewind. As we lift the arm up towards the ceiling, we're trying to maintain tension throughout the rest of the body. As we rotate the palm all the way back and around, moving as slow as we can, and parachuting that arm all the way back and down. Then we can switch sides. Starting with the left arm, reaching that arm out as far as we can, squeezing some tension into your belly. You'll very slowly lift the left arm up towards the ceiling, keeping that bicep close to your ear. Dump that imaginary cup of water out as you reach the arm all the way back and around, rotating so that the back of the hand comes by your hip. And then rewind, reach that arm up towards the ceiling. When you can no longer go any further, you'll start to rotate the palm all the way back and around, trying to keep that arm as straight as you can, and the arm as far away from the ground as we can, as we parachute the arm back and down, and then we'll lift off again. Rotate that arm all the way around, staying tight through the rest of the body, trying to make that circle as large as you can. Parking the back of the hand by the hip, and then rewind. Extending the arm, rotating from the shoulder as we reach the arm back out in front of us, slowly lowering that arm back down. And we'll go for one more rep. Lift the arm off the ground. Bicep is close to the ear as we rotate the palm and the shoulder all the way back and around. If we had a watch on, the watch face should be buried by the hip. If someone was standing right next to me, they shouldn't be able to see what time it is on that watch face. And then we'll reach the arm back into extension, rotating from the shoulder as we bring the arm all the way back and around, keeping that elbow straight, and then very slowly lowering that arm back down. Then we can relax. Shake it out as we move into our next movement. For our next movement, we're going to start in a plank or a push-up position. If this is too hard for you, you'll leave your knees down. If you want to make this a little bit harder, you're going to start from the push-up position. From here, you're going to squeeze some tension into your belly. Then we're going to do an elbow, a wrist, and a shoulder check here to make sure that our elbows are rotated out and not in. Our palms are pushing in towards the ground, and our shoulders are stacked up over our elbows. And then from here, very slowly, we're going to lower ourselves down towards the earth, aiming our chest down towards the ground, keeping the elbows tucked in by our sides until our chest touches the ground. Once our chest touches the ground, we're going to bring our fists by our rib cage, our elbows are tucked in by our sides, and then very slowly, we're going to lift the hands off of the ground. Once the hands are lifted off of the ground, very slowly, we're going to hinge the elbows out, up towards the ceiling, trying to get the hands up towards the ceiling as high as we can, and we'll hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very slowly, we'll start to bend the elbows back, keeping the hands away from the ground and the elbows tucked in. Bringing the hands back to that starting position. And we can very slowly push ourselves back out of the bottom. I'll demo a rep. If that was too hard for you, we can leave our knees down. Very slowly with our knees down, feet off the ground, we'll slowly lower our chest down towards the earth, keeping the elbows tucked in by their sides, aiming the chest down towards the earth. Once the chest touches the earth, we'll move our hands into a fist position, fist by the rib cage. We can straighten the feet out, lift the hands off of the earth, Straighten the arms out behind you. And the arms up towards the ceiling, and we'll hold for another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start to bend the elbows. As we're bending the elbows, we're trying to keep the hands away from the earth. Hands by our side. Back to that starting position. Knees come off the ground. And cheat yourself out of the bottom. Okay, we'll do one more rep here. I'll do it from the push-up position, but this time with a wide feet. So any variation that feels good for you is the variation that you're going to do all on your own. Very slowly, bending the elbows, lowering the chest down towards the earth. Once the chest touches the ground, we'll make the fists, tuck the fists in by the rib cage. Very slowly lifting the hands off of the earth, hinging the elbows back behind us. When you can no longer go any further, we'll hold this for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very slowly start to bend the elbows, keeping the hands away from the earth. Back into that starting position. And we can cheat ourselves back out of the bottom. Okay, shake it out here as we move into our next exercise. We're going to continue to work from the prone position. So we're going to work with our face down. Now I'm going to have you watch this before you actually do it, because if you're doing this properly, you actually won't be able to see what I'm demonstrating for you. After the first rep, we'll take you through 3 additional reps. So we'll start with our face down. We'll start with the arms up and overhead, and then we'll lift the hands off of the earth. We're going to start to bring the elbows down behind the head and reaching the hands down as low as we possibly can. When we can no longer go any further, very slowly, you're going to start to pull the hands away from the back of the head. Very slowly straighten the arms out all the way up and overhead, keeping the elbows nice and straight, and then start to bend the elbows back down behind your head. Once you can no longer go any further, you can park your head back down. We'll take 10 seconds of rest. And now we're going to take you through those 3 final reps. Make sure to move through a pain-free range of motion as you're moving through this. And remember to keep the elbows as straight as possible when we reach the arms up and overhead, removing the hands from the earth as far as we possibly can. We'll start with the head down, reaching the palms as far down the neck as we can, pulling the hands away from the back of the head. Slowly start to straighten the arms all the way back out. Bend the elbows back into that starting position. Arms go to the back of the head. Again, lift the palms off the top of the head. Reach your arms back out. Elbows are straight. Bend the elbows as we bring the arms back to that starting position. Hands park back down. One more rep. Lift the hands off the back of the head. Straighten the arms all the way out. Elbows are straight. Very slowly bringing the arms back to that starting position. And then we can relax.